Back on another episode of What the Fuck Is He Doing to the KP this time? Now, as you can tell, I've done a couple things since the last time you've seen it. I've been running the 14s for a little bit. Now, I only say a little bit because I don't want to put too many miles on them until I paint them. I just have to buy the materials so I can prep for paint. I have the paint, I got the clear coat, just need the prep. Now, I know you're probably looking like, what's going on back here? So I actually just installed this yesterday. I actually didn't even record any part of it, but I'll actually explain it today. These are Z50 plastics that I tried to use as a mud guard. This is literally the purpose of it. I'm just tired of mud just flinging on my back while I'm riding. So aesthetically, it may not look the best currently because I just threw it together just to see how it will look. But I plan on painting the frame black as well as this, so I'm gonna end up knocking off all the fake carbon and painting it so it matches, and it's gonna actually kind of hide this. I threw this on, which I actually still have to do some fitting because it's rubbing on the tire, and I could have sworn I had it at a good angle, but apparently not. I had it straight. Well, I thought I did, but apparently not. Yeah, there's that. I ended up throwing on the axle sliders. For the front axle, I have a... Where is that? I ended up getting one of these. Right, I actually bought two, but this one is actually too short. So I'm actually going to buy two more because the one that's up front, I have enough threads to lock it in, but I'm just not fully comfortable with it, so I would like to get a longer axle. That one is a 280 millimeter, so I'm thinking maybe 300 and maybe a 320 for the back. I originally bought the 280 for the back, but it worked out for the front. And mind you, the front is longer than the back by a little bit, so it was one of those. Actually, no, the back is longer than the front by a little bit. So if the 280 worked for the front and I want a 300 for the front, that just means get the 320 for the back. Cool. I've been playing with the tune on this one, and honestly, I'm thinking I might want to try a smaller FCR. Maybe try out my FCR 28 just because I have it. I don't want to take it off of my little monster back there, but I mean, for testing purposes, while that one's not running, and I don't have all the parts on it because some of them are here, I can test it out just to see what's going on with that. But realistically, I'm thinking about getting the FCR 33 just to see what I get there. There is this one jet that I had mentioned before that I took out of there that did not have a number on it. And the replacement jet that I have for that, the smallest one I have is 100. Still trying to figure out what jet that is so I could see if I can get some jets that's smaller than 100 but bigger than that jet, because I think that jet right there might be my issue. I think. I'm not too sure. Right now, I actually changed that one from the 100 to a 105. I went back to a 160 on the main, and my Pilot is, if I'm remembering correct, because I just looked at it yesterday, I think that was a 40. It was either 42 or 48. I know that's kind of a big jump, but I just don't remember exactly which one it was. It was either 42 or 48. The needle jet is in the middle, and as far as the flex jet, I got that turned out 2 turns. So yeah, I'm just trying to find what a good base tune would be, so then that way I could tune off of that. I still don't have the O2 bung welded on because exhaust shops are just BSing around here, and I really need to find someone that's willing to just do it. I will leave the bike, I don't care, but not the point. Yeah, if I could get that on, that would help me tune even better. With that being said, I did do a couple things to this one, even though it's not running. So I got the exhaust mounted, not mocked up. This is how it's going to be. It's solid mounted. right? I can move the whole bike. I got a mount coming off of the frame where the triangle used to be at. So I actually had it originally coming off of here, but I changed that because I remembered that I had this free hole right here. So yeah, I rotated it. I'm gonna end up probably cutting it just so it doesn't look like this. I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do with it. Ended up mounting the muffler with the L bracket coming off of, well, coming from behind the plastic to the frame, so that's not going anywhere. And I actually took off the actual exhaust hanger from back here. Now when I did that, because of how the KP is set up, the return spring is actually mounted off of here. If you know, when you go to take this off, it actually hangs if you just take out the bottom one. Cool. So I ended up just drilling a hole through here. I got a double nut on here, so it's one on the back, one on the front, and then the spring just sits in between the nut and the actual head of the bolt. So my spring still, my pedal still returns. But yeah, I'm just doing some things. Today I want to see if I can keep trying to tune it. I just honestly don't know what the fuck she wants. I'm really trying to figure that part out. What do you want from me? Do you want more fuel? Do you want less fuel? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I've been checking the spark plug even though I don't want to, realistically, and it's showing that it's lean, but at the same time when I add fuel it shows that it's rich. So it's like, what the fuck? So yeah, it's a bit confusing. I ain't gonna lie. The FCR is a finicky carb to tune. I also, while this one isn't running, I do have this PWK that I could test out if I want to throw this one onto the 300, which a part of me actually kind of wants to give it a shot just because I have one here. I don't know. I got options. There's also a couple other things that I'm actually considering doing if I don't tune. So I could do a couple mock-ups. Like, example, for this bike, I'm running a radial caliper, right? So I got a 245 millimeter rotor on the front and a 220 on the back. Where with this one, I'm running a 4P with a 220 up front, and I'm running a P32 back here with the 220 in the rear. So that's as big as I can go in the rear because I can't lift the rotor up anymore, which I'm fine with the 220 in the back anyway. Now for the front, a part of me wants to check and see if I can fit that 245 under this 4P, just for testing purposes, because I've been curious and I've been looking and nobody has been giving me any answers as to what the biggest rotor you can fit under a 4P is. So with that being said, I have a 245, even though that's not the biggest you can go on these clones or a Grom in general. The biggest that I've seen was a 267, and apparently the only way to run that would be to be running this setup right here, the radial setup, because you need to actually lift the rotor. So I have these spacers on so I could fit the 245 under the radial. If I didn't have the spacers on, 245 wouldn't fit. I could run the 220 stock. Cool. Now with that being said, that's why a part of me wants to actually test out just to see if this will fit under that 4P or not. But wait, I actually forgot to mention, if I add one more spacer, then I could actually fit the 267 under here, as long as the bleeder nipple isn't going to hit the rotor, which it shouldn't. It's only 20 millimeters. That looks more like maybe 35-ish millimeters in between the wheel and the actual rubber on it. So there should be enough room if I wanted to actually go with a bigger brake, like the biggest brake I could get. Not saying I want to, but a part of me actually wants to just buy one just so I can have one, get the spacers, just so, you know, if I ever want to just give it a shot, I already have the parts. Another thing that I did do was I threw the spools on here that I took off of here just because I ended up going with those type of spools. Like I mentioned in a previous video, it might have been the last one or the one before, what I want to do with these is actually get the spool holder for the front as well. So I'm gonna buy another set of the backs just so I could change out the cup on the front. That's cool. I want to change out these master cylinders, which I just need to figure out which ones I'm gonna order. Vibrations, it vibrates a fucking lot, I'm not even gonna lie. So as you can see, I actually removed the whole CarPlay unit. That's another thing I did, because it actually blew out the cameras. So as of right now, I've posted maybe 2 riding videos, but the thing with that is, as of right now, I'm waiting to see which replacement I'm going to go with. So with that being said, I'm going to have to also figure out where I'm going to mount the camera. So a part of me is actually thinking of mounting it up here when I do get it, instead of mounting it under there, probably because I think that might have been just too much vibrations for it, realistically. So it is what it is. Yeah, another thing I did was, oh yeah, I mentioned that already, and it's not straight, as you can see. I thought I had it straight, it was straight, but anyway, I'm gonna have to re-angle this so that way it actually aligns up with the size of the wheels. I know it's rubbing on the wheel, I don't even care about that. Yeah, I cut it. I should have just left it alone, honestly, because it's just the way that angle is, it's rubbing on the wheel regardless. So if I'd have just left it, it would have looked aesthetically fine, but I know this is just gonna turn black anyway from me riding, so I don't even care. A part of me wants to get a heat gun so I could actually try to mold the plastics some. I don't have to do a lot, but as long as I could get it to form some, I'd be cool with that. But otherwise, this is what it looks like from the back. You can still see the light from behind you, well, from behind me and all that. But like I said, the main purpose of me adding this was because I was tired of that. So it might still come through here if anything, but that's nothing compared to it just flinging up at my back. That and water, that should block a lot right there. So anyway, it's starting to drizzle. I'm not gonna go in, but I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. There was another mock-up that I wanted to do as far as with my brake. So I meant to do it when I took that wheel off, but it slipped my mind because I'll be doing so much. But I want to try to use the actual rotor off of this hub, right, the 3-bolt hub on the 4-bolt hub. So I don't know if I'm gonna try that out today, but that is a plan of mine. These just have C-clips that hold them in. So pop off all 6 of those, the rotor comes off. Cool. But I have to have that wheel off, unfortunately. So another thing I did do was gearing on it. I'm still actually doing some test miles only because I'm still doing some test tuning right now. So I haven't really been putting too many miles. Oh yeah, that because the wheels. But I haven't been putting too many miles on it. I want to say, as far as with my gearing, I probably put on I don't know, maybe like 10 miles max, if even that. Another thing that I did do, which I actually forgot until I was just looking at it, is, as you can see, I got my exhaust coming out the left side now. I know you're probably looking like that long ass bolt. I got that long ass bolt for a reason, so don't even worry about that. And it's facing down for a reason instead of facing up. I specifically did that for a reason. So yeah, my exhaust is now coming out the left side like it did when I originally bought that bike, which a lot of y'all don't even know about that story. But anyway, I was just tired of it getting in the way of my brake. And now that actually means I can clean this because, yeah, that's all exhaust smoke. Yeah, this thing so far with the 14s though has been doing good. It feels more stable, but I do get some wobbles. Admittedly, I do get some wobbles. What I want to do is actually balance these wheels, and definitely want to get a steering stabilizer for this, well, steering damper for this bike. Now, like I said, the wheels did make it feel more stable. Like at any speed, it feels more stable. I'm just being honest. So a part of me really wants to get this KP running again so I could actually compare the KP on 14s versus the KP stock setup, just so I could actually see how much more nimble that one is compared to this one, because that's one thing I can say about the 14s. It is a trade-off. So you lose the nimbleness and the agility to be able to just quickly lean over in lanes and do all of that, but you gain the stability. But I don't even know exactly how to explain that part, but it's one of those, you feel it and you know it when you feel it. Like, example, actually, I haven't even really gotten up the speeds on these yet. The fastest I've gone on the 14s was 62 miles per hour, and that was mainly because I was trying to check the speedometer to the wheels. Right? So what I mean by that is I had my speedometer, I had my GPS speedometer app on. I went out for a ride, and I was actually monitoring my speedometer on the bike itself. And basically the fastest I've seen on here was 62. And then I got home. Actually, no. The fastest I remember seeing was like 61. But then I ended up going home and I looked at the GPS and it showed I went 62. So I might have went 62 right after I looked away because I was on a little highway. But anyway. Yeah, so the speedometer actually seems to be accurate with these wheels entire combination. So the front is a 120 70 14 and the rear is a 140 70 14. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I had wanted to mention. If there is, I'll come back to it. And I know y'all probably looking like, wait, what about that one in the background? So this one in the background isn't even mine. Actually, no, I'm lying. This one now is mine. But here's the story behind this. So I ended up going with my friend to go buy one. Cool. This is the one that he bought. Now, with that being said, that engine right there was in this frame. I had a frame here. This one needs parts. It needs some things. So we decided to come to an agreement on something. So basically, because he needed a gas tank, he needs a harness, and there's a couple other things. I had a frame that was in fairly good condition as far as like the parts go on it, and yeah, it was just sitting here. The gas tank is good. Like, that gas tank is clean as fuck. The harness, as far as the connections goes, those are all good. There's no burn points in it or nothing like that. So we came to an agreement. Traded him with a little bit of cash on top. So then that way I still retain a frame in case I want to do anything with it. But he gets a better frame to start off with. So he keeps his engine or whatever. And I told him, just whatever you're going to take off this bike, I don't even care, bro. Just take whatever you want off of it and just leave me with whatever, because honestly, you're getting the better end of the deal anyway, and I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all, because that bike was just sitting in my garage anyway, doing nothing. So yeah, it is what it is. Oh, this shit is actually kind of like fucked. Like, the hub on that wheel on the wheel itself. So the splines that go, let me actually show you with a wheel. Those are broke in that wheel. So the tire is actually fairly good, but these are broke in the wheel. So yeah, there's that. At some point it was on fire. Look at the connections on the bike. What else was it? There are no bearings in there. Well, the balls are like everywhere, like, so I mean, when the time comes, if I do want to deal with this bike, I already know what I'm gonna have to deal with, but it is what it is. Like I said, it was a trade with cash on top, so I'm fine with it. You get the better end of the deal because you're getting the cleaner frame, but it's cool because I got another frame anyway if I want to tear this one down and use the other frame. Alright, so let me ask your honest opinion. I've been having issues with tuning, right? The best I can get is about 70% throttle with the FCR35. I'm already thinking about downsizing, maybe to the FCR33, right? Do you think I should give out tuning the FCR28 a try? Because mind you, I've ran it with the FCR28 before. I just didn't want to tune it because it's for this engine, but I'll give it a shot. I'm torn. When you buy for dirt cheap, this is what you get. This is what you get.